and a slam jam.
For a general summary of 7.27, the major changes for me are, first off, the importance of kills going up, the importance of towers going down, the change of the Radiant Ancients to their triangle. I think Radiant's going to be a bit better now again because Roche and the Ancients are both on the top half of the map, and because of the dead lane and all that shit, you obviously want to play top, so it makes it really nice for that. However, it is easier to protect your own jungle now because you cannot have your outpost taken until they kill one of your tier 2s. So that might also shift the dynamic of what jungle is safer because of that. So I'm looking forward to seeing the impact of that. Towers now hit faster but for less damage. So CS Gunner Tower is going to be quite different for everyone. All pick drafting. I really like the fact that they changed it so offlaners don't just get railed because they pick third, carries pick fourth, hard counters, etc. So it's going to be definitely a different dynamic to what roles have the most impact in pubs, but I still believe mid will have the greatest amount of impact. Pretty heavy nerfs to like this Regen Lifesteal amp meta. They're going to be assuming the max is 100%, and now it stacks diminishingly, just like everything else, rather than additively. So no more like piling those on top of each other. Necronomicon is an absolutely dead item. All of the aura items got drastically reworked. I think the breadwinner is going to be drums. I don't think it's a fantastic item, but I think it's super value for the active that it gives, and it's super cheap. And the basic stats of it, movement speed, all attributes, mana regen, are not bad at all. I think pretty much any core could get away with buying this item as long as they're going to be participating in team fights, and you'll see a lot of these. Or items basically lost quality of life for the person that buys them. So I think they're going to be much more situational, much more specific, and we're going to have to keep an eye out for being much more picky about buying these aura items. You can't just default to aura items anymore. It's like, does my team absolutely need mech? Does my team absolutely need a Vlad? Does my team absolutely need a Helm Dom? Then yes. But these items do not give all-around things anymore. No 5 all stats, no 20% base damage on the Helm Dom, which makes it good pretty much all the time. These are things that make you reconsider buying the item rather than just making them the best items. Items like Orchid, which their purpose was kind of becoming outdated, they got cheaper, so they're less of an investment. I like that a lot. The change to Silver Edge might be the highlight for me for Slark. We'll have to see how that plays out. The overall nerf to these regen items in the early game, or at least the rework to make them a little bit less value. Still have to deliberate on the changes to Bracer, Wraithband, and Null. The overall shift of Kaya as an item, it no longer gives mana reduction, but it does give mana regen amplification. So kind of a rework there, and the Bloodstone cooldown going from 250 to 85 means that heroes that really do capitalize on that extra bit of tankiness and not as much on the mana reduction, such as like Timbersaw and Leshrac, seems like a much better item for them. And the 10% magic resistance as part of the kit will prove to be like really nice for those heroes that just want to tank through the damage and have their spells going as they do that. So I think it's a nerf to heroes like Storm for this item, but it's a buff to these other heroes. Meteor Hammer is a pretty drastic rework. I want to be testing this on Agi farming heroes with no wave clear tower push potential. Giving them 8 all stats rather than just strength and int can be quite value, and I'll be paying attention for that.
Clink's now best hero in the game. Play Clinks.
Thank you, Ikimo, for interrupting for that. Spirit Vessel, as an item, no longer hard counters these regen heroes anymore. I just think they keep nerfing it a bit and putting it on other things. So Shiva's Guard now gives that heal reduction aura. Spirit Vessel is much more of a... It's meant for its active to heal as well as it's active for some damage, but the heal regen reduction last patch, or like 2 patches ago, was 60%, and now it's 45%. The way you think about that is they used to have 40% of their heal. Now they have 55% of their heal, which is like 33% more. That's pretty drastic. So Spirit Vessel, it's just not quite the kind of fuck you item to these Necrophos Morphling type heroes, and it's kind of a more all-around item that a hero that can afford to buy it can buy. But I do think it's an indirect buff to these heroes that were previously screwed over by Spirit Vessel. Dagon's still trash. Heart of Trash seems trash. Quelling Blade seems potentially value on ranged heroes, and we may be seeing mid laners buy it especially, or these like Drow Ranger type safe laners. Lincoln Sphere with the massive buff. Tome of Knowledge is much cheaper. Smoke of Deceit is much cheaper. Neutral items got a nice little rework to the balance of them. The OP ones got nerfed. The slightly underwhelming ones got buffed. And Pirate Hat now gives bounty runes, the hype of the entire patch. I think this patch is going to slow down a bit. I think because all these aura items got nerfed, because all of these Necrobook heroes are no longer going to be able to buy a Necrobook and force the pace of the game. I think that combined with the fact that you can keep your outpost guaranteed until you lose a tier 2 will be able to promote a lot more of these passive farming heroes, passive turtling heroes, such as the Medusas, the Drow Rangers, the Alchemists. It comes to mind to me that these heroes are going to be much more difficult to invade. I just think it's going to be a slower meta. That's really all there comes down to it. I think Meteor Hammer is the item I'm most fascinated by as a potential booming item that we really saw none at all last patch, and we might see a lot this patch with the build-up being better with the Perseverance. I think Battle Fury is going to be a sick item, so because of the turtle rework changes kind of thing. Towers now give less. I think pretty much all of these items and game mechanic changes promote more killing and less towers. So it's more about turtling with farm being defensive, and it's just not as beneficial to early push these towers. Yes, towers are always going to be important. Yes, map control is always going to be important, but it's that much less rewarding to get the towers in terms of the bounty that you actually get. And it's that much easier to protect your own jungle and your own safe lane tier 2, which that means that it's also easier to protect your mid lane tier 1 because of the fact that outposts cannot be taken by the opponent team. So we talk about the dead lane theory, we talk about wanting Radiant to want to play top, Dire to want to play bottom. This is a lot different now, in my opinion, because there is an outpost for Radiant that is guaranteed to be kept until they lose a tier 2 in their own jungle, which is bottom, and there's a Dire outpost in the top half, which means that even if Radiant wants to play there, they have to take that tier 2 first before they can actually truly overtake the opponent's jungle. So will that necessarily change how people play? Maybe not, but I really do think it makes it harder and harder to invade your own jungle, which once again just promotes the turtling meta. I think that's what we're going to see. A lot of these passive farming heroes, a lot more farming oriented games, a bit slower in the early game, and it's going to kind of ramp up once teams are able to take tier 2s. But once you combine the tier 2 value now going up with the fact that Fort just shreds creep waves, it seems like a very large investment to get tier 2s. And the only major tier 2 that was meant to be easy to take was the opponent's safe lane. And now there's an outpost that they will always control, that gives them multiple routes to a TP behind you, get reinforcements to a fight that they want to take. So it just seems even harder to force the issue, which I'm happy about. The summons meta was really annoying, but I really do look forward to seeing how this exactly plays out. So that's my overall summary of 7.27, and the only thing we can do now is play.
A few moments later.
So a quick addition to my summary of 7.27 is the change to the fact that you can't cut creeps until 1550 range. I did think this was initially a big change, but it starts at about right where the pull camp is. So as you see here, the creeps aggro about right here on this side, and I would assume it would be about the same on Radiant. So a lot of people may say, well, BSJ, you can still cut creeps. The thing for me was it was impossible for supports and carries to control a large enough area to prevent you from cutting creeps last patch. You could do all types of shenanigans all the way over here, right? And the support had to chase you for miles. Now if you have any support that can control this area along with their carry, because a lot of carries can close that gap to help their support kill you, it just becomes that much harder to cut. This is only the case until 5 minutes in, but that's the time where cutting was most important, because if the lane was unlaneable for the offlaner, cutting was the only solution. So What I see here is that picking heroes that can cut means they have less options, and picking lane dominating safe laners, potentially tri-laning, is going to be way more potent because of this. In the past, if you tri-lane safe lane and the opponent did some random shenanigans, cutting creep waves over here and then made the wave like triple up and then gave it to their off laner underneath tower, that was a way to overcome this. I think aggressive tri-lanes were last patch because of that, because safe lane tri-lanes were incredibly exploitable. But because I don't think they're exploitable anymore, I think in professional Dota, and it's going to slowly become the meta more, that safe lane tri-lanes are going to become more of a thing. And I think because of creep cutting being gone until 5 minutes, it becomes much more consistent to what you should expect a safe lane looking like. There's going to be no more crazy shenanigans. There's going to be no more like chasing people around the map as they cut creeps. And I think that because stability promotes carry players and how the carry hero wants the lane to be, that lane dominators love this meta even more than the last one. And combining that with the fact that you're always going to have this outpost and it's going to be really hard for the offlaner to invade you, I really like heroes that lane dominate and control the top lane for Dire and control the safe lane for Radiant as long as possible.